fact that we're from the same city, or it's over, you know, I was able to, to mend a lot of those situations. A lot of people ask me, like, yo, why? Like, why are you doing this? Why would you do it? And mostly I wanted my closest friends to know that it's for me, you know? It's really got a lot to do with me. It's not a fun life when you're, like, just in a lot of beefs with people. You know, you got to check on who's going to be at an event. You start moving different. You start, you know, I was changing as a person, becoming a guy that was, you know, definitely willing to do some terrible things, definitely moving with a different energy. And, you know, like I said, it's just not a fun life when you have to just look over your shoulder all the time, or wonder, you know, all right, if this goes left, which one of my friends is gonna go sit for 2, 3, 4, 10 years? You know what? Like, it's just not. It's not a good way to live. In that particular situation that you're talking about, don't know. I have no desire to ever mend anything with that person, and yeah, that situation just went. You know, it just went where it went, and it's just there's no turning back. It's not like those other situations that you mentioned.
Did Pusha go too far by revealing the child and presenting that to the world?
Well, I'll say this. I tip my hat to the chess move. I mean, it was a genius play in the game of chess. And definitely, you know, warranted my first quote unquote, you know, loss in the competitive sport of rapping. By choice, obviously, because I bowed out after realizing, like, the gap between us allowed him to drop, you know, a bomb on the world that really became that was all anyone cared about. You know, I sleep well at night knowing I didn't get outbarred and I didn't get, you know, dunned off by some crazy song that it was just, you know, he told the world that the biggest artist at the time has a kid that he hasn't told you about. So I knew kind of, for me, it was over at that point. It wasn't even about battle rap or any of that. It was just the information was too shocking. It was, like I said, on his part, it was a genius chess move. He obviously has no, like, you know, when it comes to me, he's not gonna have any, like, morals or respect. So the other elements of the record, whether it be, like, just like the shit that he's making up about my mom and my dad and all this, like, dumb shit, or you know, obviously the part that hit me the most, which is, like, you know, wishing, like, that my friend that has an illness, like, dies. Like, that shit to me is just not really wavy. Like, I'm just not really with that. Like, and when I did say, oh, there's rules to this, I didn't mean there's rules that anybody has to follow. But, like, in battle rap, you know, they just headshotted that guy the other day because he was on stage and he pulled out a picture of the guy's dead aunt and started rapping about, you know, that type of shit. And it just is what it is. There's a point where you're gonna want to stop rapping. I'm sure I could say something about, you know, your lovely lady, or, you know, a child or a family member, and you're just gonna want to rap anymore. So that's just kind of where I got to. I just had to admit, like, yo, I'm really, you know, and when I was making the record in response, which was a real record, I know people think it's like some myth. It was like on this Vinyl's beat, and I just found myself saying things that, like, one, seemed really out of character, just because I was, like, deeply invested in the situation and getting very angry, and saying things that I don't know if in 2 years I'd want to hear myself say. And yeah, I just realized that, like, nobody cares about this guy, so there's not really much I can say better than Drake Has a Baby. He won, you know, he won off that bomb, you know, and so, again, you know, it's a dub that, like, you know, he could take it.
Was that true that you wanted to reveal the child with Adidas campaign and things like that?
I wasn't. At the time I was working with Adidas, and we were toying with the idea of a name being the play off of a name. Off of my son's name. I wasn't revealing my son with Adidas, or, like, I wasn't gonna have my son, like, you know. But yeah, no, I was just, you know, to be honest with you, I I actually did a DNA test for my son, and they came back to us and they said that the DNA test got ruined in transit, and that they couldn't be 100% sure that that was my son or not. So I was in a really weird pending situation where I didn't want to go tell the world that that was my son, and it wasn't. So, and if you see my son, you understand why.
I'm mad. Here's the thing. I went in the shop. He showed everybody a picture. He not saying he seen the picture.
Show it to me.
I know we were cool, Dre. Yeah, I gotta see a picture.
But yeah, no, if you see my boy, you'll understand. Like, you know, at the time, I was like, I mean, he's just a stunning child, you know, with the brightest blue eyes. And at the time, I was like, I don't know. But, you know, it actually wasn't until a week before the album came out that I got confirmation that that was definitely my son. It took me 2 more solid tests with 2 different companies. So, yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't like all the details of his record are all just like fabricated, so just to make it more interesting. The story's actually not really that interesting. The biggest part of it is that I have a son. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm hiding him and I still, by the way, I still won't post my son because the world's fucking crazy, man. And like, you know, I'm in a co-parenting situation. Anybody that's in a co-parenting situation understands that you have to split time between 2 locations. So I can't always be there to make sure he's good. The last thing I want to do is have people running around going crazy trying to get my son and do all the crazy shit that they do to me here, showing up outside and with, you know, voodoo dolls and naked pictures.
But do you feel like maybe you kind of crossed the line?
That did happen the other day.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody did pull up with some nudes.
What if you or so?
No, me. No, like of them.
Oh.
No, they pulled up with like some nudes and we had to burn them in the backyard.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Felt the like Obia energy.
It's like a seance. But do you feel like you crossed the line when you talking about Pusha? You mentioned his woman, you know, the Duppy freestyle. Like,
he has a point. He can say, yo, you brought up my lady's name off the table. That's fine. You know, like I said, we all think differently, right? And even like, you know, even in the Me and Meek situation, if you listen back to those records, and it's something that we talked about before too. If you listen back, it's, you know, we didn't really go that crazy on each other. And we left Nick out of it, and we left kind of family out of it for the most part. Like, it's just
knew each other, more stuff about each other that you didn't go to also.
Whether there was information that didn't get revealed or not, the point is like, there's just some unwritten rules in the sport for some people. Obviously not for him, and that's fine, you know. And he's just made an entire career off of it, you know. And some people like his music. I personally don't, because I don't believe any of it. And I like to listen to guys that I believe.
But you were a Clips fan. You had the sign mic and all that stuff. So
I still have it upstairs.
Idols become your rivals, right? And like to genuinely lose respect for someone.
Yeah, but it's also, you just get to peek behind the curtain too, right? It's like, you know, when I was, 16, thinking that he was the biggest dope dealer in the world, serving bricks to every corner of America. Yeah, sure. I'm sure I was, you know, again, a fan and obviously more so just a fan of like Pharrell and the Neptunes. I always wanted to be signed to Star Trek and stuff like that. That was like the way. But yeah, I mean, you know, now that I'm grown up and I actually know him and the truth is just kind of like, I don't know, it's not as appealing as it once was.
You look at it though as like a sidebar almost to the biggest conflict, which is the ups and downs of your relationship with Kanye West at the end of the day?
I think that that's where all of this kind of stems from. It's all kind of rooted in that situation. Yes, you know, I think that he definitely recruited a guy with a similar dislike for me, no matter what he says in interviews. You know, I know that. He can tell whoever, you know, I got love for him or whatever, but it's not love. You know, it's there's something there that bothers him deeply, and yeah, I can't fix it for him. So it just is what it is. I can never, ever, ever, ever turn my back on the things that I've said about him in a positive light, and I still feel all those same things.
You picked him up earlier in this conversation.
Yeah, he's still my, you know, obviously, with the exception of Lil Wayne, just because Lil Wayne will always just forever be like something else other than one of my favorite artists. But you know, and if I look at Hove as like the guy who truly probably shaped majority of my thinking, skill set, all those things, I would say that Kanye West would be my favorite artist, you know, all around, you know, and that's just facts. I mean, I have no problem saying that. It's not like you know, I'm always willing, like I said, I'm always willing to give the love and the credit. But yeah, things have just changed. I'm not just some kid that's a fan anymore. And now we have personal situations. And like I said, a lot of his issues with me, I can't fix them for him.
But would you be open to communication?
No, not really, because it's not on my end. I have no problem with any of these guys. I don't even know these guys like that. I have no problem with
What
these
was
guys.
that single, Sicko Mode, as a song? It seemed like in December he